Whoops, I'm sorry, this fell down. I'm gonna take it.
Oh,
Whoops.
I'm sorry.
I've got you all tangled up.
Lay down.
Yes, I have Roland in bondage. Put this over here.
Good to go.
So how's dinner, Michael?
Lovely.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome y'all to the, man, it's May?
Yes.
Wow. May 16th already.
It's snowing.
Time
very
flies.
nice.
Anyway,
Halfway through.
I'd like to welcome y'all to the May Laconia Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. And just a few housekeeping things real quick and we'll get started. The first thing is if you got a cell phone, please put it on quiet so that we don't disturb the proceedings. Second, during each application, the public have a chance to speak, and we would appreciate it if we do the utmost respect for the speaker and the speaker to talk to the board and not the audience, and the audience doesn't speak to the speaker. So that way we can move along very efficiently. With that being said, we need one more member. Who would like to be tonight's victim?
I think you're next.
No, you're good. You're in the circle.
We got 6 people.
I'll do it.
No, we need one more voting tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
It's Jane.
So
number
now, for that, Jane is gonna be voting on all matters before the board tonight. So that means we have a quorum. Please call the roll.
Roll call is Marcia Hayward,
Present.
Steve Boggart, Chair,
Here?
Della Vecchia,
Here?
Jane LaRoche,
Here.
Roland Mayhew, Richard Body.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let the record indicate we do have a quorum and we shall start the meeting. The second portion would be the minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a clarification if I could, please.
Absolutely.
Regarding 75 Belmont Road, the very last paragraph,
Page?
why did you have to ask me that?
So we can all see
So
what
we
you're...
can all see what we're doing here. Hang on a second. White Oaks Road, 75 Belmont Road on page 6, and it goes on to page 7. And just above the number 13 is the last paragraph regarding 75 Belmont Road, and that is the one I would like to clarify, if I could, please.
Okay,
Okay. And how I would like to rephrase it is the following. The motion was made by Steve Bogart to deny the special exception because the request could not meet letter G of the criterion for special exception. The location is not appropriate because there is a 75-foot buffer around Durkee Brook, and Mr. Alexander Jr. stated in his proposal for the ADU that it would be about 30 feet from the brook.
okay,
And that is why I think it was denied.
yep.
Okay?
You have all that? Okay. And does the board accept the amendment to the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any other changes?
Oops.
There being none, all those in favor of the minutes as amended? Let the records indicate it passed 5-0 vote. All right. Next item on the agenda is a request for a 6-month extension. It's application 2019-0021, extension 614, Endicott Street East, requesting a 6-month extension for the solar project. Is the applicant here? Please come forward, introduce yourself for the record, and tell us how we can help you.
Good evening. I'm Adam Sandall. I'm a project manager with CMA Engineers, and we are the permitting and civil engineer for this project. And I am here with Ted Van Zant from New England Community Solar, and Ted Lehman with KSI. They're the developer for the project. So we're here to request an extension of our special exception to site the solar array on the disposal garden landfill off of Endicott Street.
Okay. Now, within this 6-month extension, do we feel that that's going to be time enough for you to start? It indicated in here y'all were looking at starting soon and completion soon?
Right. So we're wrapping up final permitting and design, and we expect to start construction here later this summer, early fall.
Okay. And how long do you think that's going to take?
I believe it's a 3 to 4 month construction window.
Okay. Okay. So prior to the snow coming, hopefully?
Right. So so this project is a little different from some solar projects. There's no tree clearing. It's all, it's on the existing landfill cap, so it's grass. So there's no ground disturbance. You don't have to worry about establishing vegetation like you would a project where you're really disturbing a lot of ground. You got to worry about when you're done so that you can get everything vegetated and established, so you don't have erosion issues through the winter. So the vegetation's already established, and and there's no ground penetration on the landfill cap itself. Everything just is going on top.
Any material shortages that are going to be anticipated on trying to get this completed? Forgive me for asking,
Yeah.
but this is like the 3rd extension. I look forward to this project being completed, so if I'm a little more interested than in past,
Yeah. So Ted and Ken can probably speak, to that a little better than I can. But from what I understand, a lot or most of the materials have already been procured. So we're on track to get going
Okay.
here.
because that was one of the concerns last time was there was some, during the pandemic and
Right.
stuff, there was material shortages and causing everybody a headache. So was kind of curious for that update. I get asked that a lot, how this project's coming along, because we talk of it a lot
Yeah.
to the outside world, so we look forward to it. Okay, any other questions of the applicant for his extension?
I do. Question, Adam. The property is owned by I'm new to the board, just been here for a little more than a year. So when this came before us, I know nothing about it. So the property is owned by the city, and your consortium is leasing the property, or how is that working?
Yeah, I believe that's the arrangement. Is that yes?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the address of 614 Endicott is that exact piece of property. So there's a mailbox right on Endicott Street that says 614, and it seems
Yeah.
to be attached to the house across the street.
Yeah, I guess I don't know the answer
Okay.
to that. I mean, the tax
So
map and lot
I'm
numbers.
just kind of
that are-
curious,
yeah.
and I look at the name that are on both of those properties, and none of them match anything that's on the application. And this might be, and again, this may not be germane to us at all. I'm just kind of curious. I can't make any sense of what I see here about who owns, who's leasing. There's none of that information is contained in any of the information that we have here. And I was just curious. That's all.
That was all covered in the
Okay.
original meeting and stuff, and
Then if that's the case, I'll just check in with Scott and I'll get
Yep.
the information needed.
they
So
should have all
Okay,
that
fair
information available in their
I'm satisfied
folder,
with that. Okay.
because that would have been part of the permitting and everything else involved, so.
Good.
Any other questions?
So Chairman, just one thing, if it could just be noted, just say that it's not clear in the paperwork that we have who owns, who leases, what, the names are all, none of the names, nor the locations of the addresses seem to be right. And so just maybe, Scott, you could just look into that, that's all. maybe just simply clerical errors. I'm complete, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay,
And if there's questions, you know, I mean, follow up with me.
no
I'll
worries.
get you, I'll get all the information that
Okay,
you
cool.
guys,
Right on.
if there's anything missing.
It's a great use of the property, by the way.
We're excited.
okay, if you have a seat for a second, I'm gonna open it up to the public real quick and ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. Please come forward at this time and identify yourself for the record. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. I bring it back to the board. Any last questions of the applicant? There being none, any closing comments from the applicant?
No, we don't have any additional comments, no.
Thank you. With that, I'll close it to the public and bring it to the board. Discussion of the board.
Have they been
You
paying
can
rent
have a seat.
for the last 2 years on the property?
I'm sorry?
Are they paying rent for the last 2 years on the property?
I
from the
don't
initial?
know that portion of it, and it,
I can
What-
add that to my fact finding as well.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, I'll make a motion to grant the extension, zoning 2019-002 for 614 Endicott Street for 6 months, because it's benefit to the public and does no harm to anybody.
an applicant was made within the time period to keep it an active application.
Thank you.
We have a second?
Second.
With that, all those in, any discussion of the motion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. The next application, as we move into the public hearings, has been removed. They've, that would be application 0003 STL. The applicant withdrew their application, so they don't exist no more. Okay? And we're gonna move at the speed of light. All right, next is application 0034. It's a variance, 395 Main Street. Applicant is seeking a variance for density from Article 6, Dimension Standards, Section 235-33, maximum residential unit to allow for the conversion of an existing building to a 4-unit sprinklered multifamily resident. Would the applicant please come forward, introduce yourself for the record, and good evening.
Good evening. My name is Tom Cochran, Executive Director, Laconia Housing. The property we're discussing is 395 South Main Street. New Hampshire Regional Community Development Corporation and Laconia Housing are each members of a limited liability corporation. The property currently is 4 office units, which will soon hopefully be a 4 affordable housing efficiency unit development. We were awarded federal home loan grant funding for the renovation project. The tenants will use Housing Choice Voucher Program, which will help secure much-needed affordable housing stock during this high market rent environment at this time. The property will be managed by Laconia Housing through a management agreement with 395 South Main Street. Our other affordable housing properties are located on the same side of the street, the Sunrise Resident Living Campus, which is Sunrise Towers and Sunrise House on Main Street in Union. We've asked Sonia Mashashik and Archie Keltz from M&T Architects to address the zoning issues at hand at the property, which I'll introduce at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I apologize, some of what I'm going to say you just heard, but it's kind of my spiel, so here we go. Variances requested from Article 235, Section 33 of the zoning ordinance to permit the conversion of an existing office building into 4 units. The building will have a new sprinkler system installed. It will be a 13R. That's meaning the type of system, and that will go in there, that it's not a full-blown commercial system. It is structured more for a residential facility, and that's within our International Building Code that comes from. So it will be, if granted the variance, it will be a 4-unit multifamily residence. The proposed density, though, is greater than what is allowed in 235 Attachment 3, City of Laconia Table 2 of the dimensional requirements. So, and if we did a strict interpretation, the building is 1,450 square feet in size. And if we use the 1,000 square foot number per unit, we'd be looking at actually only 1 unit in there. And the 1,000 square feet is really substantially more than what the Housing Authority is looking for in terms of size that works within their structure for their management of their vouchers that they have. So what we're proposing is, it's a 2-story building, and each floor will be divided into 2 units. And there will be, the existing entrance will be used, all the existing lighting. There's really no modification. We have been to the planning board. We submitted a planning application. We went to TRC last week, and what we are proposing is that there be the addition of 1 accessible handicapped space on the property. It's no expansion of the parking area. We're just simply making and delineating the lines, because right now it's very random as to what's there. So in our opinion, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest, because allowing the 4 tenants to live in these apartments would provide much needed housing in the city. The project would really be an extension of the Sunrise House and the Sunrise Towers. And the size of the units are very consistent with what we are proposing there. This property is just to the south. So I'm not certain if you're all familiar, but a lot of these people do walking. They live a very sort of condensed life. They don't need a lot of extra space. The variance, if the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed. So the neighborhood is in the UC district, where the intent of this district is to permit expansion of existing uses or the redevelopment of parcels to new or different uses. The use that we have for this property is to serve the tenant of limited means, and 1,000 square feet per occupant cannot comply with that market rate. So we really need to be kind of closer to the 350 to 375. Each one of these units would be about 362 square feet in size. The granting of the variance would do substantial justice, because we feel it would broaden the accommodations to better complement the means of the Laconia citizens in that area, and in this case through the efficiency apartments that fall between a hotel room and an apartment in terms of their size. If the variance were granted, the value of the surrounding properties would not be diminished. The property is a buffer between the residential mixed-use buildings and the commercial uses that is apparent in its architecture and of the surrounding buildings. For a downtown district, the density that we're proposing is appropriate. There are dozens of small apartments in this area, and it is a convenient location for foot travel and ease of maneuvering around. You can get to the grocery store, you can get to the pharmacy. All those sorts of amenities are there. So unnecessary hardship. The layout of the building is not really ideal for the conversion of 2 or 3 units, because utilizing that entire floor plan of either story would put the square footage of the apartments well above what we need in order to make a 1-bedroom efficiency, while being able to receive a reasonable enough return to maintain the return on investment for the units. In short, the density outlined in the ordinance is not in line with the architecture of this particular property and the location within the city. And and also the tenants that it would serve. So I'm here to answer any questions. We do have a little plan here that shows the building. This is South Main here on the bottom of the page. There's a access for the driveway here, completely maintained. The building sits relatively close. It's non-conforming to all of the setbacks and things like that, but not doing any, based on when this building was developed, we don't need to meet those, and we're not proposing any expansion beyond the footprint. So if I'm here to answer questions, or if you have any specific questions for Tom, he can also ask or answer.
Yes. You said there are approximately 365 square foot?
362.5.
Okay. And the building's 1,000 square feet?
The building is 1,450.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So the whole building is 1,600.
Please introduce yourself
Yeah.
for the record.
My name is Archie Keltz. I work for Michalczyk Turpin Architects. The whole building is 1,600 square feet. There's a small foyer when you walk in, and when you get rid of that, you then divide by 4 to get to that 360 number.
Okay.
Just wanted to set that straight.
Now, each unit's gonna have its own bathroom facility, or is it gonna be a common?
No, each will have its own bathroom and a small kitchenette, but it's really like one big sort of
Yep.
living space with a separate
It's
bathroom.
an efficiency where the living room is the bedroom and
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. The sign that's out front, is that gonna stay or go?
The quick laundry sign.
The laundry side, yeah.
I don't know, there was a big business sign when it was an attorney's office and stuff.
That's gonna go, and we're gonna put up our own signage for the property itself.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, the property itself kind of lends itself to build these 4 efficiencies, given as Archie talked about, that center hallway, and be able to separate it out and get the 4 units in there, which is the really nice part about it, so yes. And it is an efficiency. I don't know if anybody's ever lived in an efficiency, but 367's a nice size, and
Yep.
we're looking for that individual who could work in a retail store right downtown and the like. So the voucher program is really what it's looking for, which we are underutilizing at this present time, so.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Question. Will this building remain on the tax rolls, or?
It will be paying by a pilot at this point in time. We'll work through our nonprofit it will be owned as a nonprofit, but it will be paying a payment in lieu of taxes through the city, as we similarly do with our other properties.
And who establishes that payment in lieu of taxes?
The tax assessor.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions at this time?
No, just a comment. I visited the property, and I think it's a wonderful use.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this time? There being none, y'all can have a seat for a second. I'm gonna open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. Please come forward at this time and introduce yourself for the record. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application, therefore I bring it back to the board. Any further questions?
Mr. Chair, just a quick question. So in this district, 1,000 foot is required for
Right.
an apartment, and so this is the variance that is being requested, dropping it down to 360. Is this something that takes place often?
Only in
A
the,
third of the requirement.
only in areas where we've had this type of work done before.
Okay.
Where we've made adjustments so that we can accommodate some limited usage change.
Sure, understood. Now, to get it down to that higher density, is that the reason why they've inserted the sprinkler system in there? The residential sprinkler system, and that brings the requirement down from the fire department?
Yes.
Got it, understood. Okay, I'm complete, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? Any closing comments?
No, thank you.
With that, I'm gonna close it to the public and bring it to the board for discussion. Actually, I think it's probably one of the
Makes
the
sense.
neatest,
The cleanest.
the cleanest thing I've seen done. And looking at, I've been on their property for other things, and I've seen the upkeep that is done on their properties and stuff. So it's not like it's gonna turn into an undesirable piece of property after it's done. It's gonna be more than likely done in a class act fashion like the rest of the projects are.
I hope you keep the black door, I like that.
Also, simply the fact that the housing authority is going to have a hand in the management of it, I think that takes away all the fear that I have.
Yes,
Sure.
and I could
Viable.
probably only guessing it, they're on the higher side of more than a year worth of people looking
Oh, God, yes.
on their wait list, so this would help at least 4 more people, or 4
Absolutely.
more families, or 4
Absolutely.
more couples, or whatever, to come off the list.
Okay.
So,
I think it's appropriate for the location, and it's a need that the city has, so it fits the need for the city, so I think it's a great idea.
and with it being close proximity to
Yes.
everything, I mean, that even right across the street from the
Vista
Vista, you've
and
got,
Walgreens,
yeah,
Yeah, everything's right
and
So-
there.
Quick Clean Laundry is right
Dunkin'
behind it.
Donuts, come on.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts is there
So-
too.
anybody up for a motion? Anybody going for a motion, Marcia?
I am in support of this, but you know I'm not very good at doing
We'll
the
help
whole
you along.
motion. You'll help
Don't
me
worry
along,
about it,
yeah.
we'll help you.
Oh, gosh almighty here.
Don't make it so
I
complicated.
make a motion to approve the variance for, application, I think it's 0034. A variance from Article 6, Section 235, subsection 33. And the reason, Marcia doesn't have her reasons in front of her why, but I know, I read the application, so I would suggest using as the finding of facts those that are presented in the application.
Use the applicant's
Use the applicant's own words because
reasoning
they
for
were
it,
very well done.
job with it.
and
that's
that
my
is
motion.
acceptable,
Okay,
and you're sticking to it.
oh, and I am.
And,
Second.
and we have a second. Any
Yes.
discussion of the motion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion,
I
passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta get some water real quick.
This is a nice sign.
Day of talking's been.
It's nice signage.
Main road is closed. I had to drive
All
by
right.
it.
It's
Next on the agenda is application 0035. It's a variance, 928 White Oaks Road. Applicant is seeking a variance from Article 9, Section signs, Section 235, Attachment 5, City of Laconia, Table 6, Table of Signs Regulations to allow for the use of 2 freestanding signs. We're currently in a RR2. This is not allowed. Applicant, please come forward, introduce yourself for the record, and tell us how we can help you.
John Roki with Roki Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Prescott Farms this evening to request a variance for 2 signs on the property that is, if you guys have been following this with the planning process, we went through a pretty extensive upgrade to all the facilities and built some new buildings, and basically this is kind of trying to finish off the upgrade to the look of the site. There's traditionally been a freestanding sign at the upper entrance of this site for many, many, many years. So we're proposing basically to replace that sign. So, but technically we need a variance because it's not allowed in the zone. So down on the bottom entrance near the farmhouse, there has not traditionally been a sign, but they have also completely redid the connector in the barn and built a whole brand-new innovation center. So the bottom sign is basically attached to a little light pole that we had added near the entrance, just saying lower campus, and that's about it. So both signs are basically replacing one that's been there and just kind of a directory thing down at the bottom saying this is where the new facility is down below. Neither one is excessive in size. They look very nice. There's gonna be nice landscaping around them. There aren't a lot of properties along White Oaks Road that have the history of Prescott Farms, so there's kind of precedent for actually having signs on this site that other people would not necessarily have. I can go through the criteria, though. Facts supporting granting the variance. Number one, granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. The proposed signs would not be contrary to the public interest. Prescott Farms has been in operation for many years. The proposed signs simply will replace the existing sign and help with wayfinding for the lower site. The variance, if the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed. The spirit of the ordinance is to prevent large signs in a rural area, the residential zone. Prescott Farms is a landmark in this area, and the proposed signs are a replacement of the existing sign and basically a directory sign for the lower site. They're not overly large and would fit well with the neighborhood. Granting the variance would do substantial justice. Substantial justice would be carried out because the signage is important for traffic safety and economic growth of Prescott Farm, while the aesthetic of the neighborhood will be unaltered by this replacement of these replacement signs. Prescott has undergone major upgrades recently, and the new signs are part of the enhancement of the property. If the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding property values would not be diminished. The surrounding property values would not be diminished by the proposed signs. Prescott Farms is a landmark site in the community. The upgraded proposed signs will only enhance the neighborhood of the neighborhood. Unnecessary hardship. No fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to this property. The general purpose is to prevent signs from being put up in residential areas and altering the aesthetic of the neighborhood. Prescott Farms is a long-standing part of this community. The proposed signs will replace the existing sign and help with wayfinding and traffic safety. They will fit well with the neighborhood. There is no fair and substantial purpose for the new signs not to be allowed. The proposed use is a reasonable one. The proposed signs are reasonable for Prescott Farms. It's been I'm repeating things, but it's been a long-standing part of the community. The proposed signs are simply an upgrade to the existing sign. Appropriate signage is important to allow the attendees to locate the entrances and not impede traffic flow, so they know exactly where they need to be for which event. And I don't know if I need to go through the second criteria, or whether just the first two were enough for this.
We're fine.
Okay.
If I may ask.
Yep.
In your package, you got a light?
Oh, yeah, that's, basically the upper sign is going to have, two of those just shining down just to light it up, so.
They're gonna be sitting like on top here,
On top of the post, correct?
on top of the post, shining down, or are they gonna be on the, I'm having a hard time imagining how that one's.
This, yeah, where are those gonna go?
Good evening, Judy Hamill, Executive Director of Prescott Farm. The larger sign will be built out into a cabinet so that the wiring can go between the two faces of the sign. And my understanding is that they'll be mounted from the top and then shining down. We want downlight on the signs.
So it'll be like, this will be in a case,
Correct.
and then it'll be on the top of the case facing down, and then attached to both sides here of the granite blocks.
Attached at the top, above the oval that says 928, it won't be attached to the granite posts at all.
No, the sign itself will be attached.
Yes, I'm
in.
sorry, yes,
Those
that's
can-
correct.
Okay. Nice. And they're gonna be shining down.
Absolutely.
Very good. That's the important part.
Yep.
That way you don't- Any other question, or any questions, I don't want to say other, any questions of the applicant?
No, just congratulations on what a great facility, and your additions and everything are fabulous.
Yeah, it's a great
It's-
location.
It is great.
Thank you.
I should go more.
So if there's no questions at this time, if y'all would like to take a seat for a second, I'm gonna open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wishes to speak for or against this application, please come forward at this time. Introduce yourself for the record. I know it sounds weird. But you never know when someone's gonna come running in. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application, therefore I bring it back to the board. Last opportunity for questions.
None, I just think
It
it's,
seems
seems
like
In
beautiful.
discussion, we
aesthetically
can
beautiful.
discuss
It is.
how beautiful it
it
is.
is, it's gonna be beautiful.
Were questions of the applicant?
None.
None. Any closing comments of the applicant? There being none, bring it back to the board for
I'm
discussion.
sorry.
That's okay.
Had to wait for the discussion to.
I can try and make a motion.
Well,
Oh, I-
are we gonna talk about how lovely it is and how
We can-
appropriate
we
the
can do
signs
that.
are?
Yes, we can.
And how, in effect,
got
finding of facts
Does
that,
a wonderful job.
They
that
do.
the,
Really nice.
even though in this area that two signs are allowed, but one of them is more of a pathway type sign, so it helps alleviate, because I've been to the farm myself, driving down White Oaks Road, and if you're new to the area, you don't know where you're turning in until it's like, oops, there it is.
Yep.
So, as far as the safety
White Oaks Road.
for the road and stuff like that, I think having it
We snowshoe in the wintertime.
I should.
Yeah, I think you're right.
and so,
Mr. Chair, just a couple things. So there are about 10 signs on the road altogether, you know, of various kinds and various sizes and whatnot. Is the requirement for the signs, why is that? I mean, there's a lot of signs on the road, so why is there a requirement for the signs? Why do they need to come to the board?
because they want two signs instead of one.
Okay, gotcha. So the requirement is you can only have one sign?
One sign.
Understood, fair enough. Okay, cool.
And
And
so
I-
they
I-
needed the pathway sign to help identify the entrance to where people are going
Gotcha.
versus the farm versus the research or whatever you want to call it. Lost-
Educational facility?
Educational center.
Center,
There you go.
whatever.
So
Yes.
you corrected me, I read the zoning wrong. I read the
No,
words and
that's
I didn't
okay.
understand it. And so I'm a neighbor, by the way. And I commend you, the lighting is awesome, by the way. It's demure enough in the nighttime that I was concerned that it would be a eyesore, but they've done a fantastic job, so, okay.
Well, that was part of the other questions, why I was questioning them about the lighting,
Mhm.
is we had a similar type situation up on Meredith Center Road, where a church wanted to put a sign in and then put the same type of lighting in, but in their case, they wanted it to shine up.
Yeah, yeah.
And we said, no, you can shine it down, because we didn't want it to give a washout, because you got a beautiful night sky with no light, and no sense making it city blind. So
Yeah.
that's why I was asking to make sure
Goes down.
these type of situations are going down, so it won't
Pollute
have that much of a washout.
Understood. Thank you.
Good note.
Uh,
Jane's gonna make the motion.
Jane,
I'm gonna try.
we'll help you. That's what the team's here for.
Okay, I make a motion that application 0035 for the variance on Article 9, Section 235, Table 6, that we approve it. It is, will not, how am I gonna say this again? It will not diminish any of the property values and will also enhance the neighborhood. Am I missing anything?
You could say,
No.
as Mr. Roku explained in all the findings of fact.
As Mr. Roku explained, and should we and we will use all his findings and facts that he noted to us.
Okay,
Very good, Jane. I'll second that motion.
very good. So we have a motion using the applicant's reasoning for the 5 criteria of finding of fact. And we have a second. All those in, any discussion of the motion? There being none, all those in favor?
Lovely.
Enjoy your sign.
Thank you very much.
Without Mike Flitton, more people would do things.
All right. We're closing in on it.
We are, tonight's a quick night.
Won't even be dark yet.
Okay, next application is, let's see, 0038 variance, 38 Doe Ave. Applicant is seeking a variance from Article 6, Dimensional Standard, Section 235-35, minimum setback requirements. B, to allow for the replacement of stairs and construction of a deck where 5 foot exists and 15 feet is needed. Applicant, please come forward, introduce yourself for the record, and tell us how we might be able to help you.
Okay, my name's Andy Baker. I'm here with my wife Linda as owners of 38 Doe Avenue.
Good evening.
Hi. We're requesting a variance to the setback to replace the stairs. They're getting in pretty bad shape and I need to replace them. In addition, we wanted to have a deck like all the neighbors have in the area, so we combined that, and none of the new construction will be any closer to the property line than the existing stairs are at present. But I understand I need a variance because when they built the stairs before I owned it, they didn't get a variance.
Shame on them. So you indicate that where your current stairs are now, you want to put a deck and stairs in the place, and it will not exceed any closer than it currently is at the moment.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant?
Mr. Baker, when I mentioned that I went up to take a look at your property, and I'm looking at this diagram here that you submitted.
Yeah.
So the lake is down here, right? You're looking at the lake?
Yes.
So this is the front, right? And this would be your driveway right here?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna put the deck in the front here, and
Yes.
currently your stairs are right over here,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And then you're gonna have a little bit of a decking on the side.
Yeah, well, the stairs kind of go up and then
Right, and
to the
curve,
right.
yes.
And those are the only entrance to our house. The other doors are sliders.
Right.
And you can't unlock them, so we have to go up those stairs to unlock the house.
Yeah, okay. And so my concern had been, but as Scott indicated to me, was the distance next to your neighbor here, because I didn't think there was a whole lot of distance on your property.
There's
You've
at
got
least, there's.
5 feet.
Yeah, there's at least 5 feet, because the house was replaced, that house was replaced since we owned ours.
Mm-hmm.
And when they replaced the house, they put the line in, so yeah, we could all see it, and there's at least 5 feet.
So, but I guess that it's okay where he's not, the stairs are, you're not going beyond where the stairs are now.
Well, out the back, he's not going any further to the rear. He is coming out onto the side
He's-
yard.
No,
No.
no further than that is
no,
now.
No, here's his neighbor's house, and like I said, there's about 5 feet right here.
Yeah,
And he says he's not going any further
no, correct.
That way.
that
But he
way.
is coming out into
Oh,
the driveway.
yeah, he's coming out
Right.
this way.
But he has plenty.
Yes.
But he's
No,
got
no,
the
no,
deck
no, no,
plenty of room.
I understand that.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, any other questions of the applicant? No? All right, with that, I'm gonna open it up to the public and ask if anybody from the public wish to speak for or against this application. Please come forward at this time and introduce yourself for the record. Let the record indicate no one from the public wishes to speak for or against this application. Bring it back to the board for further questions. There being none, any closing comments?
No.
With that, I'm gonna close it to the public and bring it to the board for discussion.
It's a high-density area. Almost every single house is non-conforming in some area. All of them have sheds, decks,
Yep.
everything built all over the place. No reason not to accept it.
I see it here.
Pretty low traffic street, not many people will see that
Oh,
day.
is it a town road, by the way?
Dole Avenue?
Is it?
It's a town road, and there's very little traffic except for Lakewood.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so.
I have no problems.
Neither.
Nope, it doesn't seem that it's gonna
Hurt anybody.
change the value of the neighborhood. All right, let's just do it.
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we grant this variance with the fact of findings that variance is not contrary to the public interest because it is being replaced with the same type of footprint that is currently in place, so therefore it's not getting any closer to the neighbor's property. The spirit of the ordinance is observed as the benefits of the variance would enable them to enjoy the house and still provide a safe manner for them to be able to come in to their house, as it was indicated that the old decking needs replacing, and that's their only entrance into the house. The value of the surrounding properties are not diminished, as indicated that it was a closely dense populated area and that a lot of the houses in the area already have a lot of built.
Non-conforming structures.
Yes, already in location, so it will be, and actually, it'll continue in the same viewpoint of the neighborhood. Literal enforcement, the hardship due to the fact that the houses was designed in such a manner that the only entrance is in this location that allows them proper, safe egress. Is that the correct word, egress?
It is.
To the property, so therefore, replacement of the stairs and that little bit of an area will provide them a safe area for them to enter and exit their home. With that being said, that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
We have a second. Discussion of the motion.
That's all right.
There being none, all those in favor of the motion. Motion passes. Enjoy your deck. The planning department, seek them and they'll finish up with your permitting and all the other stuff needed. Okay? You have a very good night.
Nice to meet you folks.
So,
That was interesting.
now, other business, I guess y'all all know, we're gonna have a new planning director, fourth. We do have a temporary one that's gonna be coming on board. I don't know her name yet.
Are we adjourning before we have this discussion or not?
No,
Okay, sorry.
no, that's fine. I would rather say it for the record, and that way, I did want to mention this before the start of the meeting, but the way I look at it, we should continue to perform our duties as we always have over the years and stuff like that. As planning directors come and planning directors go, the board remains the same. So we've done a marvelous job in my 20 years of experience here, and I don't see why we would change anything that we're doing unless we, as a board, find ways of improving how we interact with the community and whatnot. But I would anticipate probably 3, maybe 4 months that is gonna take them to find a replacement. So the temporary person will have some interaction with them, but if we just continue doing what we do best, just like if they were on vacation or something, that, you know, nothing changes, then we'll be fine. It might have to do a little more research ourselves to get some of the answers, and we'll rely on what they can do and help them as much as we can, and that's it. Any thoughts?
Good paying job.
Yeah,
I was surprised.
yeah.
There you go, Mike, come out of retirement.
So anything else before the board? We'll probably have the temporary planning director at the next meeting, just in case. And like I said, I don't know her name. I
I
haven't
met her
met her.
yesterday.
Oh,
Was
you
it
did?
Karen?
Kathy.
Kathy.
Okay.
That's who he had a little meeting with, that he sent us all an email.
Oh, okay. So if there's nothing else,
Move adjourned.
Should we just sit here till 8 to make?
No.
just to make it.
Get her full pay.
So,
Earn
No,
our
I
keep?
haven't been home. I've went from Concord to a homeless meeting to here.
Now you
So
can go home.
I can go home. I'm scared to go back over there to see if the meeting's still going on.
Don't go back.
Go home. So with that, a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So say.
All those in favor? Aye. Good night. Thank y'all. What a wonderful meeting.